G'day, Battlers, and today we are jumping in for the next Go Battle League Cup coming up in the Go Battle League this season, and that is the Colour Cup. Now, I have some gripes over the naming of the Colour Cup, not only because, we use British English and spell it with a U, but also the fact that this meta is in the Great League with fire, water, grass, and electric typings. Now, we've had a cup, the Love Cup, in the past that is actually based on Pokemon colors, so it feels a bit weird to me that they've named this one that is sort of like, the base elemental typings as the Colour Cup. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but regardless, it's coming alongside Great League from March 9th through March 16th. So let's just jump into the meta infographic, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, because there's plenty more meta simplifiers to come out this Go Battle League season. And ta-da! For the thumbnail, now we've got 5 main groups on the graphic, and now that I'm looking at it, I guess there is some clear color distinction going on, but it really feels like the typing is more important than the actual color. Regardless though, we have up in the top the fire types with Charizard and Victini. Now I actually strongly recommend Shadow Charizard here, but it's just a regular one on the graphic. Grass types with Tropius, or Tropius as I believe it's supposed to be called, Credilli, Abomasnow, and Trevenant. In the bottom right we have water types plus a Unova Stunfisk with Whiscash, Lanturn, and Swampert. Bottom left we have the electrics with Galvantula and Zapdos. Again, Shadow Zapdos is a lot better than regular Zapdos, but the image here is just Zapdos. And then in the top left, we have Toxapex. Now, Toxapex is the Pokemon that is sort of the #1 PvPoke ranked Pokemon that sort of dominates everything. And really, the meta sort of cycles around from that. So it's about countering the Toxapex, then it's about countering the counters to Toxapex, etc, etc, etc. And hence meta infographics. So we'll start off just talking about Toxapex because it's a pretty simple one. It's got access to Brine and it's a water type, so as you can imagine, it does pretty well up against the fire types in Charizard and Victini. Also with access to Sludge Wave and having that poison typing, so it doesn't take that huge damage from grass. It does pretty well against the grass types as well, although definitely isn't immune. But the fact that Toxapex has so much bulk as well means that it is sort of able to, even if the damage is sort of keeping up pace, Toxapex is sort of able to push it over the edge just because it's able to survive a little bit longer. Then Toxapex's counters being the electric types in Galvantula and Zapdos, and then also in the sort of ground damage that comes from Whiscash, Swampert, Stunfisk. Stunfisk can kind of go either way in Discharge or Mud Bomb, I guess. They're both super effective. And then Lanturn. I have slotted Lanturn into this spot instead of the electric slot, just because Lanturn does pretty well up against the other electrics as well. So that's just sort of where I've decided to slot it in there. And also, having that water typing, it loses to the grass types, whereas the other 2 electrics don't as hard. Getting a little bit of ahead of myself here. But to be honest, this is a pretty easy one to understand. And on the base level, it's fire beats grass, grass beats water. Galvantula has bug typing and Zapdos has the flying typing, which is why I've got them beating the grass types, although it's definitely not that simple. But in the end, it's not so much the surface level stuff. It's when you dive into the nitty gritty. So there's a lot of really deep matchups here. For example, focusing in on Shadow Charizard. If you just do classic 1v1 shield PvPoke sims, Charizard actually doesn't win a lot of these matchups, and it actually loses to I think 3 out of 4 of those grass types. But it's once you start sort of diving into how you would actually play with a Shadow Charizard, you sort of start to understand how it actually works in terms of you get this little bit of energy, and then Blast Burns are always a threat, so people are more likely to shield Dragon Claws. And we've seen this in the play Pokemon circuit where Shadow Charizard has actually been able to perform really well, because it's such a threat. Fish and a Heater defeated me on stream at OCIC the other week with that Charizard just being such a strong Pokemon, getting into its charge moves really quickly and putting on a lot of hurt. So even though a lot of Pokemon look like they should win, Charizard is sort of able to play out. So I guess it's a little bit of a skilled Pokemon. So if you're sort of, if you're on the sort of beginner side, which is totally fine, I wouldn't recommend going for the Charizard option. It's probably better to go for more safer standard picks, something like a Swampert that is sort of easier to maneuver, easy to understand, and one of the sort of first Pokemon to really wrap your head around before diving into something that is a little bit more tricky, like the Shadow Charizard. Also things like Abomasnow, funnily enough, also Fish and Heater beat me with the Abomasnow, but Abomasnow is another one that has these sort of dynamic moves that even when you get locked into a sort of a bad matchup, like against maybe even a Fire Spin Charizard, you still have the weather balls. You're sort of able to do some chip damage. You can run away, get some energy in a different matchup, and then come back and actually defeat the Charizard. So there's all of this sort of dynamic play that's afoot, and I think that is where the interest is going to come out of this Color Cup. I mean, I could just go through and like tell you everything that's on the screen, but again, it's sort of simple in terms of, again, fire beats grass, grass beats water, the ground beats electric, electric and ground both beat Toxapex, with Toxapex being the fires with the water damage and the grasses with the poison damage. So I definitely recommend. I mean, we'll see this meta pretty soon, and this could come as a massive surprise to everyone, but the move updates didn't really have much of an effect on this meta. So yeah, with that said, I guess that's all I have to say. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, especially the subscribe one, and I will see you in the next video after, of course, I thank my lovely patrons and YouTube members what the heck? I swear I put Adelian on this image, but he doesn't seem to be there still. So massive shout out to Adelian. Love you, man. Okay. See you in the next one. Bye.